This book was generated using Speakter's AI voices. You can create human-like voiceovers in over 50 languages.
The year 1866 arrived, bringing with it an atmosphere of unease that settled over the maritime world. Reports of a colossal sea monster began to circulate, sending ripples of fear and fascination through ports and harbors across the globe. As winter's icy grip loosened, giving way to the first tender shoots of spring, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. Ships from various nations limped into port, their crews wide-eyed and trembling, bringing tales of encounters with a creature of unprecedented size and speed. In bustling taverns that reeked of stale beer and pipe smoke, on creaking docks where salt spray hung thick in the air, sailors spoke in hushed tones of a beast that dwarfed their vessels, its sleek form cutting through the waves like a knife through butter. It was like a mountain come to life, one grizzled captain recounted, his weathered hands shaking as he clutched his tankard. The amber liquid sloshed over the rim, mirroring the turbulent seas he'd barely escaped. A giant narwhal, I tell you, with a horn that could skewer a ship as easily as a fisherman spears a trout. The monster's description spread like wildfire, each retelling adding new, terrifying details. Its horn, they said, was longer than the tallest mast, capable of piercing the sturdiest hull as if it were made of paper. Its speed was unmatched, outpacing even the swiftest steamships with ease. The very mention of the creature sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened sailors. As spring blossomed into summer, the public's fascination with the creature grew to a fever pitch. Newspapers, sensing a story that would sell copies by the thousands, filled their pages with sensational headlines and wild speculations. Artists' renderings of the beast, each more fantastical than the last, adorned shop windows and public squares. Children played at being monster hunters in the streets, while their parents cast worried glances at the horizon. In the hallowed halls of universities and scientific institutions, heated debates raged. Some dismissed the reports as nothing more than mass hysteria, a collective delusion born of mankind's eternal fear of the unknown depths. Others, their eyes gleaming with the possibility of discovery, argued passionately for the existence of an undiscovered species. The oceans are vast and largely unexplored, one marine biologist proclaimed during a packed lecture, his voice echoing through the auditorium. Who are we to say what wonders or terrors might lurk in their darkest reaches? As summer waned, the frequency of attacks increased dramatically. The monster, it seemed, had developed a taste for destruction. Global shipping routes, once the lifeblood of international trade, became treacherous gauntlets. Vessels disappeared without a trace, leaving behind nothing but floating debris and unanswered questions. The sea, once a symbol of adventure and opportunity, now loomed as a realm of unspeakable danger. The economic impact was swift and severe. Insurance companies, faced with mounting losses, began to refuse coverage for voyages through waters where the monster had been sighted. In boardrooms and government offices, grim-faced men pored over maps dotted with red pins, each marking a reported attack. The pins formed a sinister constellation, a testament to the creature's far-reaching influence. We cannot allow this. This thing to strangle the very arteries of our commerce, one shipping magnate thundered, his fist pounding on a polished mahogany table. The sound echoed through the room like a cannon shot, emphasizing the gravity of the situation. As autumn's chill crept into the air, the pressure on governments and naval authorities reached a boiling point. The monster's attacks had grown bolder, more destructive. Coastal towns lived in fear, their harbors eerily empty as fishermen refused to venture out. The once bustling ports fell silent, save for the mournful cries of gulls and the relentless lapping of waves against abandoned piers. In naval yards around the world, warships were hastily outfitted for monster hunting expeditions. The clang of hammers and the hiss of steam filled the air as crews worked around the clock. Harpoons of unprecedented size were forged, their wicked points gleaming in the sunlight. Cannons were loaded with experimental ammunition, each shell a potential key to unlocking the mystery of the sea monster. Crews were handpicked for their courage and skill, men who understood that they might be sailing to their doom. Yet for all the preparations, for all the determination to face this threat head-on, A current of dread ran beneath the surface of society. The monster had become more than just a physical danger. It was a symbol of nature's awesome, unpredictable power, a reminder of humanity's smallness in the face of the vast, unknowable sea. In quiet moments, even the bravest souls found themselves wondering, what chance did man truly have against such a creature? As the year 1866 drew to a close, the monster's presence in the world's oceans had become an undeniable and urgent problem, demanding immediate action. The stage was set for a confrontation that would captivate the world and push the boundaries of human understanding. The hunt for the great sea monster was about to begin in earnest, and no one could predict where this extraordinary adventure would lead. In the halls of power in Washington, D.C., a flurry of activity signaled a shift in the government's stance. Urgent messages flew between departments, and late-night meetings stretched into the early hours of the morning. As the first light of dawn broke over the Capitol, a decision was made that would change the course of history. The United States, a nation that had weathered civil war and emerged as a growing world power, was about to take on its most unusual adversary yet. The United States government could no longer ignore the growing crisis at sea. They recognized the urgent need to address the mysterious sea monster that had been terrorizing the oceans, causing widespread panic and disruption to maritime activities. In response, they launched an ambitious expedition to hunt down and neutralize the elusive creature. The air crackled with tension and excitement as news of the mission spread like wildfire across the nation. People gathered in hushed groups, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination as they discussed the latest reports of the monster's destructive path. For this crucial mission, the government selected the Abraham Lincoln, a state-of-the-art frigate renowned for its speed and agility. As the ship sat docked in Brooklyn Harbor, it hummed with activity. The deck swarmed with sailors and technicians, their boots thundering against the wooden planks as they rushed to prepare for the journey ahead. The air was thick with the smell of tar and salt, mingling with the metallic tang of newly installed equipment. Cutting-edge harpoon guns gleamed in the sunlight, their polished surfaces a stark contrast to the weathered wood of the ship's hull. Specialized monster hunting gear was carefully stowed away, each piece a testament to human ingenuity in the face of the unknown. At the helm stood Captain Farragut, a man whose very presence commanded respect. His weathered face, etched with lines from years at sea, seemed carved from the same unyielding material as the ship itself. His eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the horizon as if already searching for their quarry. When he spoke, his voice carried over the din of preparation, steady and sure as the North Star. "Men," he called out, his words cutting through the chaos on deck, "we embark on a mission unlike any other. The world watches and waits. We will not fail." The crew paused in their work, drawing strength from their captain's unwavering resolve. Among them was Professor Pierre Aronnax, a French marine biologist whose passion for undersea life burned as bright as the sun glinting off the waves. His eyes sparkled with excitement behind his spectacles as he surveyed the ship, his mind already racing with the possibilities of what they might discover. At the professor's side stood Conseil, his loyal servant. Conseil moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine, his hands constantly arranging and rearranging their scientific equipment. His dedication to classification and order was as dependable as the tides, a stark contrast to the unpredictable nature of their mission. The final piece of this eclectic puzzle was Ned Land, a Canadian harpooner whose skill was legendary. He stood apart from the others, his muscular frame leaning against the ship's railing, a harpoon twirling idly in his calloused hands. His eyes, keen as a hawk's, scanned the horizon, hungry for the challenge that lay ahead. The salty breeze ruffled his hair, carrying with it the promise of adventure and danger in equal measure. As word of the expedition spread, it ignited the imaginations of people around the world. Volunteers flooded in like a tidal wave, each hoping to be part of this historic journey. But only the cream of the crop made the cut, their skills honed to a razor's edge. The chosen few moved about the ship with purpose, their faces set with determination. The day of departure arrived, and Brooklyn's harbor was a sea of faces. The air thrummed with excitement, a palpable energy that seemed to make the very ground vibrate. As the Abraham Lincoln's engines roared to life, A deafening cheer erupted from the crowd. Handkerchiefs waved like white-capped waves, and the air filled with shouts of encouragement and wishes for good fortune. As the shoreline faded into the distance, the reality of their mission settled over the crew like a heavy fog. The vast expanse of the Atlantic stretched before them, a canvas of endless blue that both awed and intimidated. The ship cut through waves with determination, each nautical mile bringing them closer to their mysterious quarry. The journey around Cape Horn was treacherous, with winds that howled like angry spirits and waves that crashed against the hull like battering rams. The ship groaned and creaked under the assault, but held firm, a testament to its construction and the skill of its crew. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. The initial excitement gave way to a gnawing uncertainty that settled in the pit of every crew member's stomach. Every ripple in the water, every shadow beneath the surface sent hearts racing, only to end in disappointment. The monster remained elusive, like a ghost haunting the depths. Doubt began to creep in, as insidious as rust on iron. Whispers of failure echoed through the ship's corridors. Even the most stalwart crew members felt their resolve wavering under the weight of fruitless searching. The once bustling deck grew quieter, the silence broken only by the constant lapping of waves against the hull. But Captain Farragut stood firm, a lighthouse of determination in a sea of growing frustration. His unwavering commitment to the mission burned bright, a flame that refused to be extinguished by setbacks or skepticism. With each passing day, he drove the ship further into uncharted waters, his eyes fixed on the horizon, searching for any sign of their quarry. As the Abraham Lincoln ventured into increasingly remote seas, the crew's patience and resolve were tested to their limits. The endless expanse of water began to feel like a prison, the horizon a taunting mirage, always just out of reach. Yet driven by their captain's unyielding spirit, they pressed on, their quest continuing into the vast, mysterious depths of the world's oceans. Just as hope seemed to be slipping away like sand through their fingers, a cry rang out from the crow's nest. "Something on the horizon!" The words electrified the air, sending a jolt through every soul on board. Hearts pounding, the crew rushed to the railings, straining their eyes against the glare of the setting sun. There, in the distance, a dark shape broke the surface of the water, unlike anything they had ever seen before. Could this be the moment they had all been waiting for? For months, the Abraham Lincoln had scoured the seas without success. At last, in the vast expanse of the southern Pacific, they encountered the elusive creature that had captivated the world's imagination. The night air hung thick and heavy, laden with salt and anticipation. The gentle lapping of waves against the hull was the only sound breaking the eerie silence. Professor Aronnax stood at the ship's railing, his fingers drumming an anxious rhythm on the weathered wood. His eyes strained against the darkness, searching for any sign of their quarry. Suddenly, a shout from above shattered the quiet. "There! Off the port bow!" The lookout's voice cracked with excitement. Aronnax's heart leapt into his throat as he followed the man's pointing finger. There, beneath the inky surface, a ghostly phosphorescence shimmered like a submerged star. Captain Farragut's voice boomed across the deck, jolting everyone into action. "All hands to stations! Full steam ahead!" The ship lurched forward, her engines roaring to life. The sudden movement nearly knocked Aronnax off his feet, but he clung to the railing, his eyes never leaving the mysterious glow. As they closed in, the true nature of the beast revealed itself. It moved with a grace that defied its massive size, cutting through the water as easily as a knife through butter. The Abraham Lincoln groaned and shuddered, pushed to her limits in this high-stakes pursuit. The smell of hot metal and steam filled the air, mixing with the salty breeze. Ned Land, the seasoned harpooner, took his position at the bow. His muscular frame was taut with concentration, his weapon poised for action. Aronnax watched in awe as Ned's eyes, sharp as a hawk's, tracked the undulating form before them. With a grunt of effort, Ned launched his harpoon. It arced through the air, a silver flash in the moonlight, but fell agonizingly short of its mark. Ned's curse was lost in the roar of the engines and the crash of waves. Without warning, the creature wheeled about. Its massive form, sleek and terrifying, bore down upon the ship with frightening speed. Aronnax's breath caught in his throat as he realized the imminent danger. The impact was catastrophic. The Abraham Lincoln shuddered and bucked like a wounded animal. The professor felt himself lifted off his feet, tumbling through the air as if caught in the grip of a giant hand. The icy embrace of the ocean shocked him back to his senses. Spluttering and gasping, he broke the surface, his eyes wild with panic. The taste of salt burned his throat as he coughed and struggled to stay afloat. Nearby, he could make out the forms of Conseil and Ned Land, also fighting against the merciless pull of the sea. The Abraham Lincoln, her hull torn and smoking, drifted away like a wounded leviathan. The three men, now mere specks in the vast Pacific, were left to the whims of the ocean. Exhaustion clawed at their limbs, each stroke a battle against the inevitable. The cold seeped into their bones, numbing their bodies and clouding their minds. Just as hope began to fade, Aronnax's hand struck something solid. The sudden contact sent a jolt through his weary body. "Here!" he cried out, his voice hoarse and barely audible above the waves. "There's something here!" Together they hauled themselves onto the hard surface, grateful for any respite from the hungry sea. As they lay there, panting and shivering, a strange realization dawned on them. This was no island, no remnant of the creature they had pursued. The surface beneath them was smooth, metallic, unmistakably man-made. Aronnax ran his hand over it, feeling the cool, unyielding material beneath his fingers. Before they could fully process this revelation, a hatch opened with a hiss of escaping air. The sound sent a shiver down Aronnax's spine that had nothing to do with the cold. Shadowy figures emerged, silent and efficient, pulling the three men into the depths of the structure. Confusion and fear battled for supremacy in Aronnax's mind as they were led through dimly lit corridors. The air inside was warm and dry, a stark contrast to the chill of the ocean. Finally, they found themselves face to face with a man whose very presence commanded attention. His eyes, dark and penetrating, seemed to look right through them. Aronnax felt as if those eyes could see every thought, every fear that raced through his mind. "Gentlemen," the man said, his voice rich and cultured, "I am Captain Nemo. Welcome aboard the Nautilus." The revelation hit Aronnax like a physical blow. They stood in the belly of a submarine, a vessel far beyond anything the world had ever seen. As the implications of their situation sank in, Nemo's next words chilled them to the bone. "I'm afraid I cannot allow you to leave," he said, his tone matter-of-fact. "The secrets of the Nautilus must remain hidden from the world above. You have a choice before you. Embrace life aboard this vessel, or spend your days confined to your cabins. The decision is yours." As the weight of their predicament settled upon them, Aronnax, Conseil, and Ned exchanged glances. They were prisoners now, caught between the endless ocean above and the unfathomable mysteries that lay ahead. The professor's mind raced with questions, fears, and a growing sense of wonder at the technological marvel surrounding them. Captain Nemo's eyes gleamed with an intensity that was both fascinating and terrifying. He raised his hand, gesturing towards a nearby door. "Come," he said, his voice filled with barely contained excitement. "Let me show you the wonders of my underwater kingdom." As the door slid open, revealing a glimpse of incredible machinery and scientific marvels beyond, Aronnax felt a surge of conflicting emotions. Fear and curiosity warred within him as he took his first step into the unknown world of the Nautilus. Captain Nemo stood before his reluctant guests, his eyes gleaming with pride. With a sweeping gesture, he invited them to explore the marvels of the Nautilus, his underwater kingdom of scientific wonder. The air crackled with anticipation as Professor Aronnax, Conseil, and Ned Land followed their enigmatic host into the heart of the submarine. The gentle hum of machinery filled their ears, a constant reminder of the technological marvels surrounding them. Aronnax's heart raced, his scientific curiosity battling with a mix of awe and trepidation. As they entered the main power room, the professor's breath caught in his throat. Banks of intricate machinery pulsed with energy, bathing the chamber in an otherworldly blue glow. Nemo's voice, rich with enthusiasm, filled the air as he explained their revolutionary method of extracting sodium from seawater to generate electricity. Aronnax's mind reeled, grappling with the implications of such advanced technology hidden beneath the waves. The group wound their way through a maze of corridors, each turn revealing new wonders. The scent of old leather and paper wafted through the air as they stepped into a vast library. Shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, laden with books from every corner of the globe. Aronnax felt a familiar comfort wash over him, his fingers itching to explore the wealth of knowledge before him. Conseil, ever observant, ran his hand along the spines, his eyes wide with wonder. Nemo's personal quarters were a treasure trove that left them speechless. Priceless paintings adorned the walls, their colors seeming to shift and dance in the soft, ethereal light filtering through the portholes. Ancient statues stood sentinel in corners, their weathered faces holding secrets of civilizations long past. Aronnax found himself torn between scientific fascination and artistic appreciation, his gaze darting from one marvel to the next. The dining room assaulted their senses with a feast unlike any they had experienced. Exotic dishes, all crafted from the bounty of the sea, filled the air with tantalizing aromas. As they sampled delicacies unknown to the surface world, even the skeptical Ned Land couldn't hide his grudging appreciation. Yet beneath his enjoyment, a restlessness simmered in the harpooner's eyes, constantly searching for potential escape routes. The true majesty of the Nautilus revealed itself in the observation lounge. A massive window, impossibly strong and crystal clear, offered a panoramic view of the underwater realm. Schools of fish drifted by in a kaleidoscope of colors, their scales glinting in the filtered sunlight. In the distance, the shadowy form of a whale glided past, a gentle giant in this alien world. Aronnax pressed his hands against the cool glass, lost in the beauty and mystery of this hidden kingdom. As days melted into one another, each brought new discoveries and deepening mysteries. Aronnax's notebook filled rapidly with observations and theories, his mind alight with the potential for groundbreaking research. Conseil adapted to their new environment with his characteristic calm, his keen eyes missing nothing as he studied their enigmatic host and the efficient crew. Ned Land, however, grew more restless with each passing day. The vastness of the ocean, once his playground, now felt like a gilded cage. In quiet moments, he would whisper to Aronnax and Conseil, his voice low and urgent as he outlined potential escape plans. The tension between his desire for freedom and the wonders surrounding them was palpable, a constant undercurrent to their daily lives. As the novelty of their situation began to wear off, Captain Nemo gathered his guests to establish the rules of their stay. His voice, though cordial, held an edge of steel as he granted them limited freedom to explore the Nautilus. The warning that followed hung in the air like a storm cloud. Any attempt to delve too deeply into the submarine's secrets or its mission would be met with severe consequences. Aronnax felt a chill run down his spine, the unspoken threat a stark reminder of their precarious position. As he gazed out of the porthole at the endless blue expanse, a mix of emotions churned within him. Wonder at the marvels he had witnessed, fear of the unknown depths that surrounded them, and a growing curiosity about the man who had created this underwater utopia. Just as the professor was lost in thought, a sudden commotion erupted on the bridge. Captain Nemo's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. The Nautilus lurched, its engines roaring to life with unexpected urgency. Aronnax stumbled, catching himself on a nearby railing as he felt the submarine plunge deeper into the abyss. What new adventure or danger awaited them in the vast unexplored reaches of the Pacific Ocean? The Nautilus embarked on an extraordinary journey across the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. As it glided through the depths, the submarine unveiled the hidden wonders of the underwater world to its newest passengers. Professor Aronnax pressed his face against the cool glass of the observation window, his breath fogging the crystal-clear pane. His eyes widened in wonder as the powerful lights of the Nautilus illuminated an underwater forest of kelp, stretching as far as he could see. The swaying fronds created an otherworldly landscape, their gentle movement hypnotic and soothing. "Look!" he exclaimed, pointing excitedly. "The fish! They're like living jewels!" Indeed, schools of fish darted between the kelp stalks, their scales glinting in the artificial light. The colors were so vibrant, so unlike anything Aronnax had ever seen on land, that he felt a lump form in his throat from the sheer beauty of it all. Captain Nemo's voice broke through Aronnax's reverie. "Gentlemen, Would you care to take a closer look? His eyes sparkled with enthusiasm as he gestured towards a rack of specially designed diving suits. Aronnax's heart raced with excitement and a touch of fear as he donned the suit. The weight of it was considerable, but as he stepped out of the airlock and into the ocean, he felt surprisingly buoyant. The pressure of the water against his suit was a constant reminder of the alien environment he now inhabited. As they swam through the kelp forest, Aronnax marveled at the life teeming around them. Tiny crabs scuttled along the kelp stalks, while curious fish peered at the divers from behind fronds. The silence was profound, broken only by the sound of their own breathing and the occasional crackle of their communication devices. Suddenly, a haunting song echoed through the water. Aronnax turned to see a pod of sperm whales gliding effortlessly through the blue expanse. A mother whale nuzzled her calf, the tender moment so at odds with their harsh surroundings that Aronnax felt his throat tighten with emotion. Their exploration led them to a vibrant coral reef, a riot of colors and shapes that defied imagination. The crunching sound of parrotfish nibbling at the coral carried clearly through the water. Delicate sea anemones waved their tentacles in the gentle current, while moray eels peered out from crevices with watchful eyes. The tranquility of their underwater paradise was shattered in an instant. A group of sharks appeared, their sleek bodies cutting through the water with deadly precision. Aronnax's heart pounded in his chest as he huddled close to the Nautilus. Captain Nemo's voice crackled over the communication system, calm but urgent, as he maneuvered the vessel to ward off the predators. Back aboard the Nautilus, Aronnax's hand flew across the pages of his notebook, sketching and documenting the wonders they had witnessed. Each new species, each bizarre adaptation to the deep-sea environment, filled him with a sense of wonder and scientific curiosity that bordered on reverence. The Nautilus plunged deeper, entering the Mariana Trench. The pressure outside the hull increased to unimaginable levels, yet inside they remained safe and comfortable. In the inky blackness of the abyss, bioluminescent creatures put on a light show that rivaled the stars above. Strange, ghostly fish with enormous jaws and impossibly thin bodies drifted past the windows, their alien forms a testament to the extreme conditions of their home. Captain Nemo's pride was evident as he demonstrated the Nautilus's ability to withstand the crushing depths. The submarine creaked and groaned under the immense pressure, but held firm, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. Their journey continued, bringing them to underwater volcanic eruptions that lit up the sea with a hellish glow. They explored the eerie remains of sunken ships, each wreck a time capsule holding the secrets of bygone eras. Aronnax found himself torn between the thrill of discovery and a growing unease about their prolonged captivity. Ned Land's frustration simmered beneath the surface, erupting into heated arguments with Captain Nemo. The harpooner's desire for freedom clashed violently with Nemo's vision of an underwater utopia. Their shouting matches echoed through the corridors of the Nautilus, a stark reminder of the tension that threatened to tear their small community apart. As the days passed, Aronnax found himself caught in an internal struggle. The scientist in him reveled in the unprecedented opportunity to study the ocean's depths, while his conscience nagged at him, reminding him of his duty to seek freedom. He lay awake at night, the gentle hum of the Nautilus's engines a constant backdrop to his swirling thoughts, grappling with the ethical implications of Nemo's isolated existence and their own complicity in it. Just as Aronnax felt he could bear the tension no longer, Captain Nemo called them to the bridge. His eyes gleamed with an intensity Aronnax had never seen before as he announced, "Gentlemen, prepare yourselves. We are about to make the discovery of a lifetime." The Nautilus changed course, diving deeper into an unexplored region of the ocean. What secrets awaited them in the murky depths? Aronnax's scientific curiosity battled with his growing sense of unease as they plunged into the unknown. Captain Nemo guided the Nautilus towards a mysterious underwater location. His eyes gleamed with anticipation as he announced their destination, the legendary lost continent of Atlantis. The murky waters began to clear as we approached, revealing an otherworldly landscape below. I pressed my face against the thick glass of the observation window, my heart pounding with excitement. The once featureless seafloor now displayed peculiar patterns emerging from the gloom. geometric shapes that hinted at the ghostly outlines of an ancient city plan. "Do you see it, Professor Aronnax?" Nemo's voice quivered with barely contained excitement. "These are the remnants of Atlantean roads and city layouts, preserved for millennia beneath the waves. The Nautilus began its descent into a vast underwater canyon, its powerful lights cutting through the darkness like beams from another world. As we sank deeper, the ruins of a once great civilization materialized before our eyes. Massive stone structures loomed ahead, their surfaces a riot of color from the marine life that had made them home. Crumbling temples stood like silent sentinels, their columns reaching upward in a futile attempt to touch the surface they would never again see. The weight of history pressed down on us as we donned our diving suits and exited the Nautilus. The cold embrace of the deep ocean sent a shiver down my spine as we swam through the submerged city. Ancient artifacts littered the seafloor, broken pottery, corroded metal objects, and statues with faces worn smooth by the relentless currents. Each piece told a silent story of a civilization lost to time. As we explored, Nemo shared his theories about Atlantis' history and downfall. "Imagine, Professor," he said, his voice filled with wonder, "a civilization at the height of its power, brought low by the very forces of nature they thought they had mastered. A cataclysmic event sent this entire continent to the bottom of the sea. We approached what appeared to be a grand palace, its walls still adorned with faded murals. The scenes depicted gave tantalizing glimpses into Atlantean life, figures in elaborate dress, strange beasts, and rituals lost to time. In a hidden chamber, we made a startling discovery, a cache of precious metals and jewels, glittering in the light of our lamps like stars in the night sky. I couldn't help but notice the possessive way Nemo handled the artifacts, carefully collecting them as if claiming them for his own mysterious purposes. It was a stark reminder of the complex nature of our enigmatic host, and I felt a twinge of unease. As we continued our exploration, my mind reeled with the implications of what we had found. This discovery could rewrite human history, challenging everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. Yet I knew that Nemo had no intention of sharing this knowledge with the world above. The weight of this secret pressed down on me, heavier than the ocean itself. I found myself torn between my scientific curiosity and the ethical dilemma of keeping such a monumental discovery hidden from my colleagues in the wider scientific community. As we prepared to leave the sunken continent, I stole one last look at the ruins of Atlantis. The grandeur of what we had witnessed filled me with awe, but it also left me with unsettling questions about Captain Nemo. What drove this brilliant man to seek such isolation from the world above? What secrets lay in his past that led him to claim this underwater realm as his own? With these thoughts swirling in my mind like the currents around us, we returned to the Nautilus. As the ship ascended from the depths, leaving Atlantis once again to its eternal slumber, I was left to ponder the ethical implications of our incredible journey and the untold wonders that still lay hidden in the vast, mysterious ocean. As we settled back into the familiar confines of the Nautilus, Captain Nemo's voice crackled over the ship's intercom. "Prepare for immediate departure," he commanded, his tone urgent and filled with an excitement I had never heard before. "We have a new destination, one that promises even greater wonders than Atlantis itself." The ship's engines hummed to life, and I felt a surge of both anticipation and dread. What new marvels or dangers awaited us in the depths of the Indian Ocean? The Nautilus sliced through the azure waters of the Indian Ocean, its sleek hull barely leaving a ripple. A vast expanse of unexplored territory stretched before Captain Nemo and his reluctant guests, promising new adventures and discoveries. The submarine's control room hummed with quiet anticipation. Professor Aronnax stood at the viewing port, his breath fogging the glass as he peered into the depths. Suddenly, the ocean around them transformed into a sea of light. Aronnax gasped, his eyes widening in wonder. "Incredible," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "It's as if the stars have fallen into the sea." The milk sea phenomenon stretched as far as the eye could see, bioluminescent organisms turning the water into a glowing, ethereal landscape. The eerie blue-green light bathed the control room, casting otherworldly shadows on the faces of the crew. Ned Land, the harpooner, shifted uncomfortably, unused to such strange sights. Days passed, each bringing new marvels. As they approached a coral atoll, its vibrant colors shimmered like an underwater rainbow. Captain Nemo's voice broke the awed silence. "Pearl divers," he said, his tone a mix of admiration and concern. The crew watched, tension palpable in the air, as the divers plunged into the depths, risking their lives for hidden treasures. Nemo's eyes gleamed with a familiar light. "Let us show them what true innovation can achieve," he declared. With a few swift commands, he deployed the Nautilus's advanced harvesting equipment. The submarine's mechanical arms moved with uncanny precision, scooping up oysters by the dozens. Ned Land watched the operation, his hands clenching and unclenching at his sides. The frustration was evident in his voice when he spoke. All this technology, and we're reduced to stealing pearls from hard-working divers? Nemo's reply was cool and measured. "We take only what we need, Mr. Land, nothing more." Their journey took an unexpected turn when they discovered a vast underwater cave system. The Nautilus's floodlights pierced the inky darkness, revealing a hidden world. Albino crustaceans scuttled away from the light, their pale bodies almost translucent. Eyeless fish swam by, oblivious to the intruders in their realm. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the gentle hum of the submarine's engines and the occasional ping of sonar. Emerging from the caves, they found themselves ensnared in a forest of giant kelp. The massive fronds wrapped around the Nautilus like grasping fingers, scraping against the hull with an eerie screech. Nemo's face was a mask of concentration as he carefully maneuvered the submarine. Sweat beaded on his brow, betraying the strain of the delicate operation. After what seemed like hours, they finally broke free, collective sighs of relief echoing through the control room. The tension of their narrow escape was soon forgotten as they witnessed a truly awe-inspiring sight. Hundreds of whales, their massive bodies gracefully gliding through the water, surrounded the Nautilus. Even Nemo, usually stoic and reserved, couldn't hide his amazement. "Nature's grandest migration," he murmured, a rare smile playing on his lips. The haunting songs of the whales reverberated through the hull, a symphony of the deep that left everyone speechless. Their path soon led them into treacherous waters filled with drifting icebergs, ghostly sentinels from the Antarctic. The Nautilus danced between these frozen giants, showcasing its incredible agility. The crew held their breath with each near miss, the ice groaning and cracking around them. The cold seeped through the submarine's hull, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked just outside. Near the coast of Ceylon, they embarked on another pearl diving expedition. However, their presence didn't go unnoticed. Local divers, territorial and suspicious, attacked the Nautilus with spears and stones. The metallic clangs echoed through the submarine, setting everyone on edge. Nemo's face grew grim, but his voice remained steady as he gave the order. "Activate the electrical defenses." A crackling field surrounded the submarine, repelling the attackers without causing harm. "We are not here to fight," Nemo said softly, more to himself than anyone else. The sadness in his eyes spoke volumes about his complicated relationship with the world above. As they continued their journey, a pod of dugongs came into view. Ned Land's eyes lit up with excitement, his harpooner's instincts kicking in. "Captain, surely we can spare one or two?" he pleaded, his voice thick with longing for action. Nemo's response was swift and firm. "We take only what we need, Mr. Land, nothing more." The tension between them was palpable, highlighting the growing divide between Nemo's conservation ethics and Ned's desire for the hunt. The Indian Ocean had offered them a glimpse of both the wonders and dangers that lurked beneath the waves. As the Nautilus pressed on, the contrast between the serene underwater world and the conflicts of the surface became ever more apparent. For Nemo, it only reinforced his desire to remain hidden in the depths, away from the troubles of mankind. Yet for his guests, each new experience served as a reminder of the world they had left behind and the complex web of emotions that tied them to it. As the day drew to a close, an air of anticipation settled over the Nautilus. Captain Nemo stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the horizon with an intensity that caught everyone's attention. Professor Aronnax approached cautiously, curiosity overcoming his usual reserve. "Captain," he ventured, "what lies ahead?" Nemo turned, a fire burning in his eyes that Aronnax had never seen before. "My friends," he announced, his voice ringing with determination, "we are about to embark on our greatest adventure yet. We will venture where no explorer has gone before." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "Our destination, the South Pole." The crew exchanged looks of shock and excitement. The South Pole, a place of myth and legend, unconquered by man. As the Nautilus surged forward into the unknown, one question burned in everyone's mind. What incredible discoveries and dangers awaited them in the frozen heart of the Antarctic? Captain Nemo stood at the helm, his eyes gleaming with fierce determination. He announced his audacious plan to the crew. They would venture where no explorer had gone before and reach the South Pole. The air crackled with excitement and trepidation as the Nautilus glided through the water, its sleek metal hull slicing through the increasingly frigid seas. The temperature plummeted with each passing mile, forcing the crew to huddle closer to the warmth of the submarine's interior. The cold seeped through the walls, a constant reminder of the harsh world outside. Massive icebergs loomed ahead, their jagged peaks piercing the sky like frozen daggers. The sight was both breathtaking and terrifying. Captain Nemo's hands moved with practiced precision over the controls, guiding the Nautilus through narrow channels barely wider than the submarine itself. The ice cliffs towered above them, casting long shadows across the deck and creating an eerie, blue-tinged twilight. "Look there!" Conseil's excited voice cut through the tense silence. He pointed to a nearby ice floe, where a colony of penguins waddled across the surface, their tuxedo-like plumage a stark contrast against the white landscape. In the water, sleek black dorsal fins cut through the waves as a pod of orcas hunted their prey. The juxtaposition of life and death in this frozen wasteland was a stark reminder of nature's brutal beauty. As they pushed further south, the ice grew thicker and more treacherous. The crew's nerves were stretched to breaking point, every creak and groan of the Nautilus sending shivers down their spines. Suddenly, a sickening crunch echoed through the submarine, the sound reverberating through their bodies. The Nautilus shuddered to a halt, wedged between two massive icebergs like a fly trapped in amber. "All hands on deck," Nemo's voice boomed through the intercom, a hint of urgency breaking through his usual calm demeanor. The crew scrambled to their stations, adrenaline coursing through their veins as they worked feverishly to free the vessel. Ned Land, the Canadian harpooner, manned the controls of the exterior arms with grim determination, using them to chip away at the encroaching ice. Hours passed in a blur of frantic activity and mounting despair. The cold seeped deeper into their bones, and exhaustion threatened to overwhelm them. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, a warm current revealed itself beneath the ice like a lifeline thrown to a drowning man. Nemo seized the opportunity, his eyes blazing with renewed purpose, as he guided the Nautilus into the hidden passage. The submarine slipped beneath the surface, diving deeper and deeper until the pressure threatened to crush them like a tin can. The hull groaned under the immense weight of the water above them, a haunting lament that set their teeth on edge. Aronnax felt his ears pop painfully as they descended further into the inky blackness, the darkness pressing against the portholes like a living thing. Just when he thought they could go no deeper, when the very air seemed to compress in their lungs, Nemo called out triumphantly, "We've done it! The South Pole is ours!" The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of their unprecedented achievement. With a sense of reverence, Nemo planted a flag on the seafloor, marking their conquest of this final frontier. The crew cheered, their voices a mixture of relief and exhilaration, the sound oddly muffled in the pressurized cabin. As they began their ascent, Aronnax noticed a subtle shift in the atmosphere. The initial euphoria gave way to a creeping sense of unease, like a shadow slowly eclipsing the sun. The harsh conditions and prolonged isolation were taking their toll, particularly on Ned Land. The Canadian's eyes darted restlessly, like a caged animal seeking escape. His usual boisterous demeanor had been replaced by a tightly coiled tension that threatened to snap at any moment. One evening, as Aronnax and Conseil walked along a quiet corridor, discussing the day's observations, Ned cornered them. His voice was an urgent whisper, his breath hot against their ears. "We can't stay here forever," he hissed, eyes wild with desperation. "We must find a way to escape." Arnax felt torn, his heart pulled in two directions. The scientist in him yearned to continue this extraordinary journey, to uncover more of the ocean's secrets. But a part of him longed for the warmth of the sun on his face, for the embrace of friends and family left behind. The weight of the ocean above them suddenly felt suffocating. As the Nautilus began its journey north, the tension aboard the vessel was palpable. It hung in the air like a thick fog, threatening to suffocate them all. Aronnax caught Nemo watching him with an unreadable expression, and he wondered what storms were brewing beneath the captain's calm exterior. There was a dangerous glint in Nemo's eyes, a hint of the madness that drove him to these extremes. The professor retired to his quarters that night, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. As he drifted off to sleep, he couldn't shake the feeling that their greatest challenges still lay ahead, hidden beneath the surface like the icebergs they had so narrowly avoided. In the depths of the night, a violent shudder rocked the Nautilus, jolting Aronnax from his uneasy slumber. The familiar hum of the engines changed pitch, becoming a strained whine. As he rushed to the bridge, heart pounding, a monstrous shadow loomed in the viewing port. Tentacles as thick as tree trunks writhed in the murky water, and a giant, malevolent eye stared back at them. The Nautilus had encountered an unprecedented foe, a colossal squid of nightmarish proportions. As alarms blared and the crew scrambled to battle stations, Aronnax realized their polar adventure was far from over. The true test of their survival was only just beginning. The violent churning of the maelstrom had rendered Professor Aronnax unconscious. As he slowly regained his senses, the world around him swam into focus, revealing the near destruction of the once mighty Nautilus. Aronnax's head throbbed, each pulse a reminder of their harrowing ordeal. He blinked, trying to clear the fog from his vision. The submarine's metal floor felt slick beneath his hands as he struggled to his feet, the taste of copper in his mouth. The air hung heavy, thick with the acrid smell of smoke and the salty tang of seawater. Alarms blared relentlessly, their shrill cries cutting through the chaos like knives. Through the haze, familiar figures emerged, Conseil and Ned Land. Their faces were etched with a mixture of fear and determination, a mirror of the turmoil Aronnax felt within himself. Ned's voice, usually so booming and confident, now held a note of urgency that sent a chill down Aronnax's spine. "Professor!" Ned shouted over the din, his words barely audible above the cacophony of creaking metal and rushing water. "This is our chance. We must go now." Aronnax nodded, his heart pounding in his chest like a caged animal desperate for freedom. The three men exchanged a look of silent understanding. It was now or never. In that moment, months of shared experiences, dangers, and wonders passed between them. They were no longer just companions, but brothers forged in the crucible of this extraordinary journey. They fought their way through the flooding corridors, each step a battle against the rising water. The Nautilus groaned and creaked around them, as if in its death throes. Aronnax's lungs burned as they climbed higher, desperately seeking an escape route. The cold water lapped at their ankles, then their knees, a constant reminder of the peril they faced. Finally, they reached the surface hatch. Ned, his powerful arms straining with effort, wrenched it open. The rush of fresh air was like a shock to their systems, carrying with it the promise of freedom and the tang of salt. It filled Aronnax's lungs, sweet and sharp, a stark contrast to the stale air of the dying submarine. As they emerged onto the deck, they were immediately buffeted by wind and spray. The sea roared around them, hungry and merciless. Waves crashed over the Nautilus, threatening to sweep them away at any moment. But amidst the chaos, a stroke of luck revealed itself. A small dinghy, still miraculously attached to the submarine. Without hesitation, they scrambled to launch it into the turbulent waters. The tiny boat bucked and heaved in the angry sea. Waves crashed over them, each one threatening to swamp their fragile vessel. Aronnax gripped the sides, his knuckles white, as he watched the Nautilus being inexorably pulled deeper into the vortex. The sight filled him with a mixture of relief and an unexpected pang of sadness. Despite everything, a part of him mourned the loss of the magnificent vessel and the wonders it had shown them. For hours they drifted in the open sea, at the mercy of the elements. The sun beat down relentlessly, their throats parched and skin blistering. Exhaustion threatened to overwhelm them, but the will to survive burned stronger. They took turns bailing water, their muscles screaming in protest, but never giving up. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Conseil's keen eyes spotted a dark shape on the horizon. Hope surged through them like an electric current, giving new life to their weary bodies. "A ship!" he cried, his usually calm voice cracking with emotion. The vessel, which turned out to be a Norwegian whaler, drew closer. The crew, astonished at the sight of the three bedraggled men, quickly brought them aboard. Wrapped in warm blankets, sipping hot broth that felt like life itself flowing back into their bodies, Aronnax, Conseil, and Ned began to recount their incredible journey. Their tale was met with raised eyebrows and skeptical glances. The crew exchanged looks, clearly doubting the fantastic story of underwater voyages and mysterious captains. But as the ship made its way to port, word of their rescue spread like wildfire, igniting imaginations and sparking debates. Upon reaching land, they found themselves thrust into the spotlight. Reporters clamored for interviews, their story splashed across newspapers worldwide. Scientific institutions vied for Aronnax's attention, eager to glean any morsel of information about the underwater world he had witnessed. Ned Land, ever the showman, embraced his newfound celebrity with gusto. He embarked on a speaking tour, regaling audiences with tales of undersea monsters and daring escapes. His booming laugh and larger-than-life personality captivated crowds wherever he went, bringing their underwater adventures to life for those who could only dream of such experiences. Conseil, true to his nature, remained by Aronnax's side. His methodical mind proved invaluable as they worked to organize and publish their findings. Together, they pored over notes and sketches, bringing to life the wonders they had seen beneath the waves. Aronnax found comfort in Conseil's steady presence, a reminder of the bond they had forged during their extraordinary journey. As the days turned to weeks, and weeks to months, the three men found themselves adjusting to life on land once more. Yet something had changed within them. They would often find themselves standing at the shore, gazing out at the vast expanse of the ocean. The mystery of Captain Nemo and the fate of the Nautilus lingered in their minds, an itch they could never quite scratch. In quiet moments, Aronnax would close his eyes and hear the hum of the Nautilus's engines, feel the gentle sway of the submarine as it glided through the depths. The memories of their extraordinary journey beneath the waves had left an indelible mark on their souls, forever changing the way they viewed the world and themselves. As he stood on the beach one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Aronnax realized that their adventure had given them more than just incredible experiences. It had shown them the vastness of the world, the depths of human ingenuity, and the strength of the bonds forged in adversity. Though their journey with the Nautilus had ended, the impact of those 20,000 leagues under the sea would ripple through their lives forever, a constant reminder of the wonders that lay hidden beneath the waves, waiting to be discovered.
This book was generated using Speakter's AI voices. You can create human-like voiceovers in over 50 languages.